Hello and welcome to another episode of A Crazy Little Thing Called Thought podcast with me, your host, Luke Richardson. This episode is episode 6, What Stress, Anxiety and Depression All Have in Common. So let's talk about stress, anxiety and depression first and foremost. So stress, anxiety and depression are names of emotions, feeling states that we all have. They're extremely negative feeling states and very unpleasant to experience. I've had those emotions and feeling states before, and I still do get them from time to time. But as my understanding of how the mind really works has developed over the last few weeks and months, and even years, those mindsets, those states of mind, if you want to call them that, have become less and less common for me personally, and I want them to become less common for you as well, if not eliminated. Certainly not impossible to eliminate them feeling states if you really understand what's going on in every moment of everyday life for all of us. So, if I was to come up to you and asked you to describe yourself, tell me about yourself. If you were a person who had stress, anxiety and depression, you would probably answer back to me, well, Luke, I'm depressed all the time, I have low moods, I'm anxious, so stressed all the time because of this and that. And you probably identify yourself with those feeling states. That is you, and you're stuck with it. Whether you like it or not, that is you, and you just can't get out of it. But if you develop an understanding of how the mind works, you can see past the illusory nature of those feeling states. And if anyone is going through such states of mind, you have to give a lot of empathy out to those people, because all that's happening is they are going through their reality of life, their personal picture of their life. And if that personal picture is a particularly bleak one, full of stress, anxiety and depression, they're not going to have a very good time. let's put it that way. Whereas life itself is pretty neutral for all of us. If people could just see that thought was the culprit of that stress, anxiety and depression, then life can be a lot more pleasant, a lot more nicer, but only if one can see past that illusion. Life is a spiritual neutralness. It's a blank canvas for all of us. And you can understand that when you see a newborn baby. A newborn baby comes out and they have a blank slate. The baby has a blank slate. They don't have any anxiety, depression and stress. They don't need to go and see a doctor about it. It's not until we start to become more into adulthood that we start to misunderstand how the thought feeling system works, and we hook onto that, and that creates a lot of unpleasantness for people. It creates a lot of mental sickness, a lot of time off work, a lot of stress, a lot of problems. Now, going back to the title of this audio recording, this podcast recording, what anxiety, stress and depression all have in common is they are all, obviously, as we've said, negative states of emotions, negative mindsets, very unpleasant, but they're all fake. They're all illusions that one is making up. And I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say that. If someone is going through a horrid time and they're really, really crippled by that, that's a horrible situation to be in. And as I say, I give a lot of empathy out to those people. But when one understands that stress, anxiety, depression, or any emotion for that matter, happiness, joy are all internally created pictures, articulations, mindsets, then it sets yourself free. It sets people free because they are not at the mercy of the world out there and how they are interpreting it. It gives people hope when they have this understanding, because they know that if they are feeling stressed, depressed, or anxious one minute, then the next day they could be feeling more mindsets that are a lot more positive than before. And that's not to say they won't go back into their depressive states again, the anxiety, the stress, and misunderstanding where that's coming from, pointing to outside events or people or circumstances that they think are generating that for them. But misunderstanding gives people hope because they know it's going to fluctuate. They know it's going to go up and down. That's one of life's best kept secrets. We all have a lot of common sense and wisdom within us that if we just let the anxious, stressful, depressive noise and thoughts going on internally in our mind, if we just there's no method to drop them. You kind of just know they will go, if that makes sense. There's no how to step-by-step guide to eliminating bad anxious thoughts. You just have to have the confidence in the system that you're going to have another better thought at some point, whether that'll be 10 minutes later or a couple of hours later on in the evening, the next morning. Just got to have faith in the system, in the life system, that you are going to create a better picture soon. And then when that comes, you know what to do within the outside world that might help with your circumstances and challenges. Not to help with the stressful thinking necessarily. That's an internal job. But basically what I'm trying to say is if you've got stressful, anxious and depressive feelings, you're probably not likely to make good choices in the outside world. You're probably going to snap at people. You're probably going to, not perform great at work. You're probably not going to want to get out of bed. And when you're riveted to that sort of thinking, believe me, I've been there. And I still go there from time to time as well. I've been there myself. If you are wedded to that thinking, if you feel like it's there forever to the day you die, then you're going to, make negative choices. Having a background confidence in how the life system works, knowing that any moment you can have a better thought that will allow you to make a better common sense choice in your daily life, that's a great thing to know. Human beings are used to living in their own minds. Me too, by the way. I'm no different. I'm a human being, just like you. Human beings have a tendency to live within their own head a lot of the time. And that's not a bad thing. That's the gift of thought we've been given. And it's like a mobile phone, if you want to look at it that way. They're the smartphones we've got now, if you've got one. I give you a mobile phone, a smartphone, an iPhone. I give you a phone, and I say to you, that's the most powerful thing you will have in your grasp with you in day-to-day life. Use it wisely. And you could use it wisely in terms of, using it for a lot of productivity, maybe a business, maybe something to help you with your job, to keep in touch with family. Or you could use it unwisely and, sit and scroll social media all day and get mind numb to it, and have really unhealthy habits like checking your phone every 5 seconds. Now, a mobile phone is neutral. It's just a phone. A mobile phone is just a phone. It's neutral. It's I have my meaning of a mobile phone. You have your meaning of a mobile phone. We have our own separate realities of what a mobile phone can give, and if people understand that a mobile phone can be very productive and that a mobile phone can be very destructive, then you understand that that tool can be good for you and bad for you. And it's the same with life. It's a metaphor I've just thought of using the mobile phone. I probably could have thought of a better one, but you get the picture. If you understand that a mobile phone can give you a good experience and a bad experience, you probably wouldn't blame it on the mobile phone. And life's the same. Life can bring good and bad experiences internally. This is our domain. Internally is what we get to control. How exciting. And how hopeful. You have no responsibility for what's going on out there. You only have responsibility for what's going on in here. The outside world will happen. Bad things will happen. You know, I don't want to go too extreme, but your football team will lose. You'll miss the bus to work. Your Amazon package won't arrive on time like you thought it would do. Someone will cancel on you for a day or a night out. Life will happen out there. That is not your responsibility. It's going to happen. Good and bad things. What you have control of, the power is in you. You control that inner domain. That's you. That is your world. And that's why life gets really fun away from stress, anxiety and depression. Once we drop all that, life gets fun because we get to play the game of life. We get to play and we are participants of that game. It's a game you can't lose at because it never really ends. Even when we die, the game is still going on within other people, within other spiritual living beings. While you're alive, you're on the planet, so you can make the most of it and play the game. Stress, anxiety and depression are human beings misunderstanding where they're coming from. Again, if I came to you and said, and I asked you again, how, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm stressed, anxious, depressed. I might be inclined to say, where do you think that stress, anxiety and depression, those negative thoughts, where do you think they're coming from? And it's very rare you'll get someone that will say, oh, that's easy, that's just coming from myself internally. The irony is, a healthy person would say that. A mentally healthy person would say, yeah, I'm feeling really anxious, stressed and depressed. But you know what? It's okay, because I know it's just in a creation I've made up in my own mind. And it'll probably change in a few hours. Maybe if not, then maybe tomorrow. And then that person will go on with life as if that feeling state never ever occurred within them. They'll just get on with it. And they might not have it again for another year. It's possible. Yeah, it might come back in a couple of days' time, but it might not come back for a long time. Now, someone else who answers that question, that says, well, I'm anxious, stressed, my job's this, my job's that, people get on my nerves, the weather's annoying me, when's winter going to end, especially in the UK here? You get that a lot in this country. When's winter going to end? Everyone gets really down about the dark, bleak winter. The short days. It's cold all the time. It's snowy and icy all the time. When's it going to end? They blame something that's going on out there, basically. Me too. I'm always blaming things in the outside world, and I have to catch myself 200 times a day. Just throwing a number out there, but I have to catch myself so many times a day of me living outside of myself, as in I'm at the mercy of the world. Those people that identify with, the outside world dictating their stress, anxiety and depression, those people get stuck. To put it kindly, I don't want to be too blunt about it, because it's a horrible position to be in if you're like I was, with full of anxiety and depression and stress. they get stuck and they can't see any way out of it because they blame the outside circumstance for. And I guess if you're understanding life in that way, then you're probably inclined to think, I can't feel better unless this changes. So, for example, if someone was made redundant and they couldn't find work for, I don't know, 6 months, they'd probably be inclined to be in a stressed, anxious and depressed state for 6 months until they got another job. It makes sense, right? Cool. You know, if they think that the event out there is dictating their internal experience, then naturally they probably will think, I can't feel better until I get another job. So many examples of it. Hurt my leg playing football, and you know, I've got my leg in plaster. It's summertime, and I've got my leg in plaster, and I can't walk for 2 to 3 months. I'm not a medic. I'm not a medic, so I have no idea if those numbers I've just thrown out there are true. That's not the point I'm trying to get across, as you know, if you've been watching the video. But you know, people will probably think, getting that news, that they can't feel better and feel good within themselves until they start walking again. And you can understand it. You know, it looks so real out there. But we also know that if someone broke their leg and was in plaster, they'd probably think, well, you know, life happens. Look at the positive, I can watch Netflix for 2 months. There's so many different possibilities of thinking, and that's the key there, thinking thoughts. It's all that. So if you know it's all thinking and thought, then stress, anxiety and depression becomes less and less. It becomes less and less common within you because it gets weaker. If you understand that, the mirage of it gets weaker. It's like you've been swimming in the ocean and you get out of the ocean and you're getting on with your life after swimming in the ocean, but you've got a fish that's kind of latching onto your foot. And you're probably trying to get on with your life, but you're shaking this fish off your foot, and that's the thought trying to come back in to dictate your internal life again. And once you flick that fish away, you're free again to carry on with your life without the negative, stressful, anxious or depressive thoughts. So I'll wrap up there. I hope this audio recording is beneficial for anyone out there going through stress, anxiety or depression. As I say, I've been there myself, and I do get there again from time to time, like everyone else. I think that's a human being experience. We are, as I can't remember who quoted this, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and the human, you know, the spiritual being, us, is, you know, full of potential, full of possibility. We've always got a fresh start, moment to moment, whenever we see that within our internal thinking. If we just get the internal thinking that's not doing us any favours away, there are a lot more than what we accumulate within our internal mind, and we get quite riveted with that. So let's say, I'm trying to summarise, I hope anyone that's going through stress, anxiety, depression can get a lot out of this video to see that you are not the stress, anxiety and depression that you are generating within your own mind. You are much more than that, as I've just said. And I'm not saying this video is going to cure that completely. It might only kind of limit it by 50%, but you know, that's great. And the more you understand what I'm trying to discuss, then the more and more you're going to see past the illusory nature of the stressful, the anxiety, the stress, the anxiety, the depressive thoughts for what they are. They're fiction. No more, you know, they're no more fictional than the books behind me. They are made up. They're your novels. But I've got every sympathy for you because they come across so real. And I still get stung from time to time as well. So yeah, I hope this audio recording does a lot for you. You can catch a lot more of my episodes if you like this episode. I've got a lot more YouTube videos and a lot more podcast episodes in my library now. I'm going to continue making more, so feel free to stay close to my channels if you are looking forward to future episodes around stress, anxiety and depression. Take care, stay neutral, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye now.